The Ultra Beasts come from worlds beyond our own, each carrying strange biology, unexplained powers, and mysteries that still puzzle researchers in Alola and beyond. In this video, we'll explore their origins, lore, behavior, and the unusual facts that make each one of them unforgettable. Buzzwole is one of the most instantly recognizable Ultra Beasts, not just because of its towering physique, but because of its striking appearance. A swollen, muscular, mosquito-like creature with glassy red chambers pulsing beneath its skin. It moves with exaggerated poses, flexing its limbs as if communication itself is encoded through displays of strength. While it looks absurdly powerful, its exaggerated movements aren't meant solely for intimidation. Researchers believe Buzzwole expresses emotion and intention through physical displays, almost like a form of muscle language. Every pose, every flex, and every slow, deliberate motion is part of how it communicates with others of its species. Rather than speaking or emitting complex cries, Buzzwole relies on kinetic expression, posture, stance, vibration, the art of power, as speech. The most fascinating thing about Buzzwole's biology is the liquid-filled chambers inside its body, which expand and contract as it absorbs energy from its surroundings. Unlike mosquitoes, it doesn't drain blood, at least not in the literal insect sense. Instead, it absorbs life energy or nutrients in ways researchers still don't fully understand. When Buzzwole interacts with its environment, even small contact appears to trigger changes, like the slight pulsing of its muscle sacs. Ultra Recon Squad researchers theorize that Buzzwole converts organic energy into raw physical strength, meaning the more active its surroundings are, the more powerful it becomes. If placed in a quiet environment with minimal external stimulus, its body relaxes and its muscle size visibly decreases, which suggests its strength is dynamic rather than fixed. Buzzwole's behavior has sparked numerous debates in the Pokémon world about whether it is aggressive or merely expressive. When Buzzwole strikes a pose, humans sometimes interpret it as a hostile challenge, but Ultra Beast specialists note the opposite. Many of these displays are actually signals of curiosity or acknowledgement. In its home dimension, these gestures are part of everyday interaction, comparable to greetings or territorial signals. The Alolan incident reports confirm multiple cases where Buzzwole approached people simply to mimic their stance, as though fascinated by the way humans moved. In one case, a Buzzwole mirrored a bodybuilder's routine so precisely that it appeared to be copying a workout rather than preparing for battle. This mimicry extends into battle tactics. When Buzzwole encounters a strong opponent, it tends to match their stance or behavior before launching into combat. This has led trainers to believe that Buzzwole sees battling as a display of physical style, not just raw strength. Even its movement patterns in the games reflect this theatrical nature: the flexing idle pose, the dramatic attack animations, and the flamboyant knockout stance. Everything it does is part of a larger performance of power, a ritualized choreography carried from its homeworld. From a lore standpoint, Buzzwole's home dimension is thought to be rich in oxygen and organic material, which would explain its extreme muscular growth. The dense vegetation and abundant biomass provide constant resources for its body to convert into energy. The Ultra Recon Squad speculates that Buzzwole is not a predator in its world, but rather a guardian or territorial sentinel whose strength serves as natural protection for its habitat. This theory gained traction when researchers discovered that Buzzwole rarely attacks until provoked, and even then, its aggression appears more like defense than predation. One of the most intriguing details about Buzzwole is its reaction to ultra wormhole travel. Most Ultra Beasts show signs of disorientation when entering new worlds, but Buzzwole appears stimulated by the energy shift. Its chambers pulse faster, suggesting excitement or heightened interest. When Buzzwole first arrived in Alola, witnesses described it as immediately examining plants, stones, and even buildings by flexing in front of them, an action thought to be a form of sensory mapping rather than vanity. Buzzwole reads its environment through body tension and vibration, an ability almost entirely unique in the Pokémon world. Buzzwole's battle style, in competitive play, reflects its blend of bulk and force. With extremely high attack and defense, it functions as both a powerful physical attacker and a near impenetrable wall. Moves like Leech Life synergize with its lore, symbolizing its nutrient absorption biology. Bulk Up feels almost tailor-made for Buzzwole, a move that literally captures its identity. Even its unexpected access to moves like Ice Punch and Earthquake represents how adaptable its musculature is. At peak conditioning, Buzzwole hits with almost unnatural force, as though every fiber in its body is built to generate maximum power. In turn, Buzzwole's shiny form adds an entirely new layer to its mystique. Instead of the blazing red and black standard colors, the shiny shifts to neon green chambers and lighter limbs, giving it a radioactive, bioengineered look. Fans often interpret shiny Buzzwole as a creature exposed to energy distortions or a different atmospheric environment in its home dimension. The extreme contrast between its normal and shiny form aligns with the unpredictable nature of Ultra Beasts, each one shaped by its own world's rules. Buzzwole's appearances in the anime further highlight its blend of humor and intimidation. In Pokémon Sun and Moon, Buzzwole steals the spotlight by flexing repeatedly, even in non-combat situations. Despite being an Ultra Beast, it is portrayed with comedic charm. Its posing becomes almost endearing, reinforcing the idea that Buzzwole isn't hostile, but simply expressive. One of the most iconic scenes shows Buzzwole flexing triumphantly after catching a villain's Pokémon, a moment that instantly became a fan favorite for its absurdity and charm. Thematically, Buzzwole represents physical excess taken to surreal extremes. Ultra Beasts often embody exaggerations of natural concepts, and in Buzzwole's case, that concept is strength. Everything about it, visually and behaviorally, conveys power, but not in a violent or destructive sense. Instead, its flexing, posing, and energy absorption create the impression of a creature fascinated by physical form, almost like a cosmic athlete. Some fans interpret Buzzwole as a commentary on bodybuilding culture, parodying the extremes of human physique while celebrating dedication and discipline. Buzzwole's relationship with humans in the Pokémon world reflects this duality of intimidation and intrigue. Many trainers are initially afraid of its size and insect-like appearance, but those who study it closely find it surprisingly gentle. It treats humans the same way it treats other Pokémon, with curiosity and a desire to communicate through movement. A Buzzwole encountering a flexing human is not preparing for battle. It's greeting them in the only language it knows. Like all Ultra Beasts, Buzzwole operates on rules foreign to the Pokémon world, but its intentions are rarely malicious. In art and fan culture, Buzzwole occupies a niche that no other Pokémon fills. Its exaggerated anatomy, dramatic gestures, and alien nature make it a popular choice for humorous artwork and animated edits. Yet it's also admired for its unique biological design, blending insect structure with powerful humanoid traits. Ultra Beasts can sometimes feel abstract or surreal, but Buzzwole strikes a balance between bizarre and charming, making it one of the most celebrated creatures from Generation 7. Ultimately, Buzzwole stands as a testament to how creative the Pokémon world can become when exploring dimensions beyond its own. Its body tells the story of a world shaped by overwhelming organic energy. Its poses hint at a culture built on physical display rather than sound or scent, and its presence in Alola reminds trainers that strength doesn't always mean violence. Sometimes it's simply expression. Buzzwole doesn't conquer new worlds. It observes them, flexes at them, and tries to understand them through the only dialogue it knows, the language of power shaped into motion. And somewhere, in a distant dimension rich with vibrant plant life and towering creatures, countless other Buzzwole are flexing in unison beneath an alien sky, communicating in silence as their muscles pulse with the rhythm of their world. Pheromosa moves with a kind of impossible elegance, a creature so graceful and quiet that even seasoned trainers often describe their first encounter with it as unsettling. Despite its insectoid appearance, its motions resemble a dancer more than a beast, each step light enough to leave no imprint behind. Every gesture seems calculated, intentional, and eerily perfect, the kind of movement that doesn't look learned but innate, as though Pheromosa simply exists in a world where gravity is lighter and the air itself bends to its rhythm. That sense of otherworldly poise is one of the reasons it became one of the most memorable Ultra Beasts the moment it first appeared in Pokémon Sun and Moon. Pheromosa represents the polar opposite of Buzzwole's brute force. Where Buzzwole is defined by exaggerated power and physical intimidation, Pheromosa is defined by refinement and speed pushed to extremes. Its entire body is built for momentum, thin, aerodynamic, and flexible, with limbs that move like flowing lines rather than mechanical joints. Its long, translucent antennae trail behind it like strands of silk, further enhancing its illusion of weightlessness. Many researchers studying ultraspace believe Pheromosa's body evolved under environmental conditions drastically different from those of standard worlds, giving it an appearance that defies familiar biology. One of Pheromosa's most notable traits is its extreme aversion to impurity. In Alola, researchers noticed that it refuses to touch anything it perceives as dirty, including the soil, foliage, or even the ground itself. Rather than walking normally, Pheromosa often seems to float just above surfaces, only making contact when absolutely necessary. This aversion goes farther than mere preference. Its sensory perception appears to detect microscopic particles and environmental contaminants humans cannot see. As a result, it will recoil instantly from anything that feels contaminated by its standards, suggesting that ultraspace may be far cleaner or more sterile than our world. Despite its ethereal presentation, Pheromosa possesses physical abilities that rival the strongest Pokémon in existence. Its acceleration reaches levels that break human visual tracking, appearing only as a blurred white streak when it dashes forward. Trainers often describe battles with Pheromosa as trying to fight against a moving beam of light. One moment it stands perfectly still, and the next it's behind its opponent, the battle already shifting in its favor. This overwhelming speed is reflected in its base stats, which place it among the fastest creatures ever recorded. Many opponents never get a chance to react before Pheromosa has already struck. Its offensive power is equally terrifying, especially when considering its slight frame. Like Buzzwole, Pheromosa exhibits Beast Boost, increasing its stats after each knockout. In Pheromosa's case, its speed or attack typically rise, turning it into a runaway force capable of sweeping entire teams if left unchecked. Competitive players quickly learned that battles involving Pheromosa often felt like races. If you couldn't stop it immediately, it was already too late. But Pheromosa's strength comes with fragility. Its body, despite its unnatural grace, is shockingly delicate. Even moderately powerful moves can knock it out, making it a classic example of a glass cannon. This fragility adds to its mystique. A creature so fast, so elegant, and so lethal that the only thing keeping it balanced is its own vulnerability. And yet, many trainers see beauty in that weakness. The idea that something so transient and fragile can still stand among the most powerful Pokémon in existence. In Ultra Space, Pheromosa is believed to exist in groups rather than alone. Observers have reported synchronized behaviors among multiple Pheromosa, each moving in perfect mirrored motion to the others, like a choreographed performance. Some theorists suggest that these ultra beasts operate with a kind of collective awareness, sharing emotional or sensory signals through frequencies undetectable to humans. Their coordination is so fluid that a group of Pheromosa in motion looks less like a crowd and more like a single organism unfolding across space. This collective behavior may also explain their response to fear or stress. While individual Pokémon often panic, brace, or fight when startled, Pheromosa responds by freezing completely, becoming motionless like a statue. This reaction is not fear, but calculation, a reset in its internal awareness as it reassesses its surroundings with absolute clarity. Once its analysis is complete, it moves with decisive precision, either attacking or fleeing in a single controlled burst. That ability to remain poised under pressure only enhances its image as an impossibly composed and alien being. In Alola's storyline, Pheromosa's appearance caused considerable panic among the public, primarily because its movements and demeanor didn't match anything familiar. While Buzzwole's power drew attention through brute spectacle, Pheromosa's presence felt eerie. People described it as beautiful, but wrong, a being whose elegance didn't feel natural. Its unwavering gaze and silent drifting created an uncanny aura that made even the bravest trainers uneasy. That discomfort is a recurring theme in Ultra Beast lore. Creatures whose design pushes just far enough away from normal Pokémon to feel unsettling, even when their abilities are awe-inspiring. Despite this fear, some characters in the Pokémon world found Pheromosa mesmerizing. Lusamine famously became obsessed with UB2 beauty, seeing in it a reflection of her own ideals of perfection and purity. This obsession symbolically mirrors Pheromosa's clean, untouched nature, something flawless in its own world, yet incompatible with the imperfections of ours. The emotional contrast between admiration and terror surrounding Pheromosa reflects one of the Ultra Beast's core narrative roles, challenging humanity's understanding of beauty, power, and the unknown. In competitive circles, Pheromosa is known for its unpredictable move pool. It can take on roles ranging from physical sweeper to rapid special attacker, or even pivot support with moves like U-turn. This versatility makes it incredibly dangerous, as opponents rarely know what set it's running until it's too late. Its bug, fighting typing, while unconventional, provides strong offensive coverage, especially when paired with its overwhelming speed. Moves like high jump kick, lunge, and poison jab turn it into a surgical weapon capable of dismantling entire team compositions in seconds. Interestingly, Pheromosa's design draws from multiple inspirations, blending insect anatomy with elements of fashion modeling and stage performance. The long limbs, high posture, and flowing antennae resemble runway stances and stylized poses, contributing to its nickname among fans as the Runway Ultra Beast. This theme of beauty as an alien concept, one that doesn't conform to human standards of comfort. In terms of personality, Pheromosa's emotional state remains one of the biggest mysteries in the Ultra Beast catalog. It rarely displays aggression unless provoked, and even then, it attacks with minimal expression, as though responding out of necessity rather than instinct. Some researchers believe Pheromosa may not feel fear or anger the way ordinary Pokémon do. Instead, it seems motivated purely by maintaining its own state of purity and safety, reacting only when something disrupts that balance. There are even theories suggesting that Pheromosa perceives reality differently than humans. Its aversion to impurities, speed unnatural to standard dimensions, and ability to freeze motionlessly all point to sensory systems evolved in an environment with different physical laws. This makes it one of the purest examples of ultra beasts as dimensional outsiders, not just creatures from another place, but creatures built for another place. Despite everything alien about it, Pheromosa has developed a strong fan base among players who appreciate its unique combination of elegance, power, and narrative mystique. It embodies the duality of beauty and danger, fragility and strength, familiarity and alienness. It's a Pokémon that challenges expectation at every turn, reminding trainers that beauty can be unsettling and that power can be silent. Whether seen as a dancer from another world, a creature of sterile perfection, or a living embodiment of extreme speed, Pheromosa's identity remains complex and endlessly fascinating. And like all ultra beasts, its presence deepens the mystery of ultra space itself, a realm that defies our rules, reshapes our assumptions, and introduces beings that feel simultaneously mesmerizing and impossible. Kartana is one of the most visually striking ultra beasts ever discovered, a creature that appears impossibly delicate at first glance, yet exhibits cutting power so extraordinary that even the strongest steel tools seem crude in comparison. Its body is composed entirely of organic material that resembles folded paper, arranged with such impossibly precise geometry that researchers initially believed it was artificial rather than alive. Every visible surface is layered into intricate creases, giving Kartana a form reminiscent of traditional origami, as if some unseen force shaped it not for beauty but for efficiency. Despite its slight frame and feather-light movements, Kartana possesses one of the highest cutting capabilities recorded in any Pokémon species. A single swing of its blade-like arms can slice through steel beams, ancient trees, or even reinforced structures with the ease of a breeze passing through grass. What makes Kartana so fascinating is the paradox at the core of its existence. Creatures that appear fragile typically develop defensive traits, softer motions, or evasive instincts. Kartana displays none of that. Instead, it moves with the confidence of something that understands its own invincibility. Its body is so thin that many attacks simply glide off without gaining enough friction to damage it. At the same time, it exerts nearly no force when moving, which minimizes the impact of counterattacks. Opponents often swing through it with little resistance, as though striking a sheet of air. Combined with its extraordinary attack strength, Kartana stands as proof that offense and defense can coexist through precision rather than bulk. Rather than overpowering threats, it outmaneuvers them, slipping between danger like a razor drifting through smoke. The way Kartana moves has intrigued ethologists and physicists alike. Unlike most Pokémon that walk, run, or fly, Kartana almost seems to glide. Each step is minimal, each shift of weight calculated. Its joints articulate with almost mechanical smoothness, yet the motion feels too fluid to be artificial. Some researchers hypothesize that its home dimension has lower air resistance or altered gravitational forces, which shaped evolution toward extremely lightweight organisms. If true, Kartana may be adapted to dance through its own world rather than stand upon it. When brought into regions like Alola, where air pressure and gravity differ from its natural environment, Kartana's movements become sharper, quicker, and even more efficient, as if the denser atmosphere gives it more stability to push against. Even among ultra beasts, Kartana exhibits unusual intelligence. It appears capable of analyzing structures instantly, identifying the weakest point of any material before delivering a precise cut. When faced with barriers, it never strikes randomly. Instead, it moves around the object, angles its arms, and chooses the direction that yields maximum effect with minimal effort. Observers have compared this behavior to a craftsman evaluating wood grain before carving. That instinctive understanding may imply a sophisticated sensory system embedded within its paper-like body, possibly measuring tension, vibration, or airflow in ways conventional tools cannot replicate. The more Kartana studies something, the sharper its next motion becomes, not out of aggression, but adaptation. Despite its immense destructive ability, Kartana is not inherently hostile. In fact, it tends to avoid unnecessary conflict entirely. Many recorded encounters show Kartana wandering peacefully through forests, fields, and abandoned structures, studying the world around it rather than attacking it. Its cutting actions seem less like violence and more like exploration. Sometimes it trims plants with careful precision, removing only dead branches or reshaping foliage into clean lines, unintentionally engaging in natural pruning that benefits the environment. Other times it slices boulders not to cause destruction, but as though testing how different materials respond to its blade. When left undisturbed, Kartana behaves almost like an artist sketching across the landscape. Trainers who have interacted with Kartana describe a creature that is calm, analytical, and remarkably disciplined. It rarely shows emotional extremes. Instead, it uses its movements to communicate intent. A slow folding of its arms suggests acknowledgement. A single, deliberate tilt forward indicates readiness. When it senses trust, it may perform a decorative series of rotations, resembling an elegant dance, a gesture believed to signify respect. While Kartana may lack the expressive face of more familiar Pokémon, its gestures carry meaning, and those who spend time observing it develop a surprising ability to read its subtle cues. Its origins remain one of the most puzzling mysteries among all Ultra Beasts. Nihilego appears jelly-like, Guzzlord is beastly, Xurkitree resembles a creature of living wire, yet Kartana seems crafted rather than grown. Some researchers propose that life in its dimension takes form through natural folding processes rather than cell-based development. Others theorize that Kartana represents a highly evolved descendant of a species that adapted itself into a paper-like form for speed and efficiency. There's even speculation that Kartana's world may contain no predators large enough to threaten it, allowing evolution to prioritize precision instead of durability. Whatever the truth, Kartana's construction challenges every known definition of biology, turning it into one of the most baffling creatures ever documented. Its appearance in Alola caused significant concern when researchers realized the extent of its cutting power. In controlled tests, Kartana effortlessly sliced through metal designed to contain other Ultra Beasts. Barriers reinforced with advanced alloys provided little resistance. Even concrete walls, meant to withstand natural disasters, were cleaved cleanly in two, the edges smooth enough to reflect sunlight. Yet despite this enormous potential for damage, Kartana never demonstrated reckless behavior. Instead, it moved with almost ceremonial restraint, striking only where it needed to. It seemed aware of its strength, choosing its actions with care, as though guided by invisible rules. The same precision extends to its combat capabilities. Trainers who battle with Kartana describe it as a Pokémon of pure logic, choosing each move like a calculated step in a larger pattern. It doesn't hesitate, doesn't overextend, and never wastes movement. Its blade work is silent and swift, often finishing battles in a single, decisive strike. Once its attack lands, it retreats instantly into a defensive posture, waiting to analyze the opponent's reaction before continuing. This methodical style has earned Kartana praise as one of the most tactically efficient Pokémon ever discovered. It doesn't overpower opponents through relentless assault. It ends battles before they begin. In competitive environments, Kartana's aggressive nature is amplified by its ability to take advantage of momentum. After defeating a foe, its attack power rises dramatically, allowing it to chain consecutive knockouts with unsettling ease. This ability reflects a deeper biological trait. Kartana's body becomes more structurally aligned after successful cuts, enabling even stronger subsequent strikes. Some theorists compare this to sharpening a blade. Each successful cut refines its edge, metaphorically and perhaps literally. Whether this is physical or symbolic remains unclear, but the effect in battle is undeniable. Kartana's connection to nature is also profound. Despite being an ultra beast, it reacts positively to certain plants and environments, particularly bamboo forests. When placed among tall, straight stalks, Kartana moves with a distinct familiarity, weaving through the plants with effortless grace. In its own dimension, bamboo-like structures may dominate the landscape, shaping Kartana's natural agility and guiding its instincts. Some trainers even cultivate miniature bamboo groves to help Kartana feel at home. When surrounded by this environment, Kartana appears calmer, more fluid, and more expressive in its movements. Unlike many ultra beasts whose energies disrupt local ecosystems, Kartana's presence is unusually harmonious. Because it consumes almost no resources and produces minimal waste, its ecological footprint is far smaller than expected. Even its cutting actions often have beneficial effects, such as clearing dead branches or trimming overgrowth. In this way, Kartana behaves more like a natural caretaker than a threat. Its delicate balance of power and restraint reflects a creature perfectly adapted to exist without overwhelming its surroundings. Kartana's physical structure also produces fascinating defensive properties. While fire is often associated with destroying paper-like material, Kartana's molecular composition is far more heat-resistant than it appears. Some speculate that the tight folding of its body compresses energy in ways that repel heat and physical force. This would explain why certain attacks, especially those requiring heavy impact, fail to connect effectively. Kartana's defenses come not from thick armor, but from impossible efficiency, a structure so optimized that even destructive forces cannot easily disrupt it. As a companion, Kartana forms unusual but meaningful bonds. It doesn't express affection in the conventional sense. It doesn't nuzzle, embrace, or vocalize. Instead, it demonstrates trust through shared motion. When comfortable with a trainer, Kartana may mimic their walking pace, matching their rhythm precisely. If a trainer kneels or sits, Kartana adjusts its posture as well, sometimes folding its arms in a gesture believed to signify connection. This form of behavioral mirroring suggests a form of social intelligence centered around movement rather than sound. For a creature as precise as Kartana, copying someone's pace is an intimate gesture, an acknowledgement of alignment. Kartana's grace and lethality have made it a symbol among scholars and artists. In Alola, cultural researchers note that Kartana resembles both ancient ceremonial blades and local paper folding traditions. This has led to speculation that depictions of sharp, elegant creatures in Alolan art might originate from distant memories or legends of ultra beasts appearing in ancient times. Whether Kartana once crossed dimensions before modern ultra wormholes were recorded remains a mystery, but the thematic similarities are unmistakable. Even today, Artists attempt to capture its form through origami, though none achieve the impossible precision that defines Kartana itself. Despite its reserved nature, Kartana exhibits surprising curiosity. It studies new objects meticulously, edging closer with careful tilts of its body. It sometimes circles unfamiliar structures, measuring them before testing a single gentle cut. This investigative behavior indicates a deep desire to understand its environment. In one recorded observation, Kartana encountered a glass sculpture and spent several minutes examining it from every angle, resisting the urge to slice it despite its fragility. Only when it determined that the object lacked structural complexity did it move on, leaving it untouched. This restraint reinforces the idea that Kartana is not a destroyer by instinct, it is an evaluator. Its greatest unknown remains its purpose. Some speculate Kartana evolved as a natural predator of larger, tougher creatures in its world. Others believe it developed its abilities for environmental shaping, acting like a living tool that maintains forests or landscapes. There's also the possibility that Kartana's entire species evolved not through natural processes, but through something resembling selective environmental pressure, shaping itself over millennia until it became the ultimate expression of efficiency. Until more is learned about its home dimension, these theories remain compelling but incomplete. What is certain is that Kartana occupies a unique place among ultra beasts. Its elegance, precision, and discipline set it apart from the chaotic or destructive nature of others. It stands as a paradox, fragile yet formidable, silent yet expressive, simple yet impossibly complex. To observe Kartana is to witness the beauty of perfect efficiency, a creature shaped not by force but by refinement. Every movement is a lesson in balance, every cut a demonstration of mastery. And in that harmony of form and function, Kartana reveals itself not as a monster, but as one of the most extraordinary beings ever encountered across any world. Guzzlord is one of the most mysterious and unsettling beings ever classified as an ultra beast, known officially as UB5 glutton. Everything about its biology, behavior, and presence suggests a creature evolved for consumption on a scale almost unmatched in the Pokémon world. From the moment it appeared in Pokémon Sun and Moon, its lore immediately separated it from the other Ultra Beasts, not because it is more violent or more aggressive, but because its entire existence seems built around one concept: endless hunger. It is the Ultra Beast that consumes without pause, devours without discrimination, and leaves behind almost nothing once it has passed through an area. And yet, despite this overwhelming destructive potential, Guzzlord has become one of the most strangely beloved Ultra Beasts, partly because its bizarre design is so exaggerated that it borders on surreal, and partly because its lore feels like it comes from an entirely different kind of world. Guzzlord's gargantuan body is its most notable feature. It stands taller than almost any known Pokémon, dwarfing both humans and most creatures it encounters. Its enormous mouth, lined with jagged teeth, makes up the majority of its torso, and this mouth is capable of swallowing entire boulders, trees, and abandoned structures without slowing down. Even more unsettling is the fact that Guzzlord's arms and claws aren't the only limbs it uses to feed its smaller mouths on its hands, are fully functional, allowing it to consume objects with disturbing efficiency. These secondary mouths are part of what make Guzzlord so terrifying to witness in motion. When it feeds, everything becomes part of the rhythm of consumption, with the massive primary mouth taking in large objects while the hand mouths shred and grind anything too small to be worth its main attention. Reports from the Ultra Recon Squad describe Guzzlord's homeworld as a barren, ruined dimension devoid of plant life, structures, or even soil rich enough to support growth. The implication has always been chilling. Guzzlord didn't evolve to survive in an empty world. Its species may have created that emptiness. Whether through natural instinct or environmental pressure, Guzzlord's endless hunger shaped its entire dimension, turning it into a wasteland where the only thing left is silence and dust. The ruins seen within that ultra-space dimension feel not just abandoned, but digested, as if the world itself has been slowly chewed apart over centuries by creatures built to consume without end. Despite its terrifying appearance, Guzzlord is oddly silent. It produces very little noise when moving, and even when feeding, the sounds it makes are described as low, muffled grinding. That quietness is part of what makes Guzzlord feel so unnatural. Something so large should not move so quietly. In the anime, however, Guzzlord is shown producing deep, echoing roars when angered or excited, suggesting that in high-stress states, it becomes more vocal and expressive. This duality, near silence during passive activity, but explosive sound during aggression, matches the behavior of certain deep-sea animals, which remain silent to conserve energy but produce powerful vibrations when threatened. Researchers have long been fascinated by Guzzlord's energy conversion. It appears capable of converting ingested material into pure energy at an impossible efficiency, which explains why it never stops eating. It isn't that Guzzlord is starving. It is that its biological processes require constant intake to sustain its massive size and impossible metabolic rate. This also explains why Guzzlord leaves behind virtually no waste. Its body uses everything it consumes. The few particles it does shed seem to be particulate dust or mineral ash, which would be consistent with a creature breaking down matter at a molecular level. Because of its ceaseless hunger and destructive nature, Guzzlord is classified as one of the most dangerous ultra beasts within the Pokémon world. Even so, no attacks from Guzzlord have ever been documented on humans outside of chaotic Ultra Beast incursions, suggesting that it does not target living creatures intentionally. Instead, it seems drawn to areas rich in material density, cities, mountains, abandoned buildings, not because of hostility, but because of their high mass. It is a consumer, not a predator. Guzzlord's design is packed with symbolism and layered detail. Its color scheme resembles coal and molten rock, hinting at volcanic or subterranean inspiration. The orange spikes protruding from its body resemble dripping magma, while its mouth's glowing interior evokes images of furnaces or industrial incinerators. That imagery has led many fans to interpret Guzzlord as nature's response to overconsumption, a living metaphor for a world devoured by excess. Its arms resemble construction machinery, particularly excavators or demolition claws, reinforcing the theme of destruction. Even its hands' mouth-like structure could be interpreted as industrial shredders or grinders. In competitive battling, Guzzlord occupies a strange niche. With immense HP but low defenses, it functions as a tank that must be used carefully. Its dragon. Dark typing offers powerful offensive coverage, but also brings notable weaknesses to fairy, bug, ice, and fighting moves. Despite these weaknesses, its move pool includes a variety of options, such as Dragon Tail, Crunch, Heavy Slam, and Hammer Arm, giving it surprising utility. Guzzlord's signature feel in battle is that of a monster that refuses to go down quickly. Its massive HP pool allows it to absorb hits that would instantly knock out smaller Pokémon, making it a wall that looms over its opponents even as it slowly grinds them down. In Pokémon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon, the notorious Shiny Hunting mission involving Guzzlord became one of the community's most iconic moments. Guzzlord's shiny coloration, replacing black and orange with a striking white and blue palette, transforms it from a creature of consuming darkness into something that looks ghostly and otherworldly. This stark contrast between its normal and shiny forms emphasizes just how alien Guzzlord truly is. Many fans consider Shiny Guzzlord one of the most visually dramatic shinies in the entire franchise. What surprises many fans is the tenderness of one specific anime moment featuring Guzzlord in Pokémon Sun and Moon. A rampaging Guzzlord is ultimately calmed and defeated through a combination of teamwork and emotional communication, proving that even something as monstrous as an Ultra Beast can be reached through understanding. This portrayal added depth to Guzzlord's character, suggesting that it is not inherently evil, but simply driven by biological instincts it cannot control. That interpretation has since shaped how fans view Guzzlord across the franchise. Guzzlord's abilities, particularly Beast Boost, make it even more intimidating in lore. The idea that it becomes stronger after every knockout ties directly into its concept of endless consumption. Whether it eats food or absorbs energy from defeated opponents, Guzzlord grows stronger with each intake. This theming is one of the best examples of Game Freak aligning gameplay with narrative design, reinforcing Guzzlord's monstrous nature in a way that feels organic and consistent. One of the most fascinating mysteries surrounding Guzzlord is how it navigates ultra space. The dimensional terrain in its homeworld appears impossible for most creatures to survive, yet Guzzlord moves through it with ease. This has led researchers to propose that Guzzlord may possess some form of dimensional adaptation, possibly an internal organ that senses energy or gravitational fields, allowing it to locate areas rich in matter to consume. Its massive build hides countless unseen anatomical features, and scientists believe much of its body mass consists of dense, unknown muscle structures designed for crushing and breaking down material. There's also a theory that Guzzlord is not a singular species, but a necrotizing force within its dimension, a natural disaster more than a life form. This theory stems from the fact that no juvenile or small Guzzlord has ever been documented. Every Guzzlord observed has been fully grown, fully enormous, and fully destructive. If it reproduces at all, the method remains entirely unknown. And if it doesn't reproduce, it may be something closer to a biological anomaly, a creature that exists outside the normal rules of ecosystems. Even its feet have become a point of fascination. Many fans notice that Guzzlord's legs end in claws that resemble cathedral or castle silhouettes, reinforcing its theme of consuming ruined civilizations. Whether intentional or coincidental, this design detail connects beautifully to its ultra-space home, a place filled with collapsed structures and abandoned remnants of a world long devoured. Guzzlord's Pokédex entries across generations maintain a consistent tone. This is a creature that consumes everything, a living black hole of biology, and yet the descriptions never portray it as malicious. It does not eat out of cruelty, it eats because it cannot do anything else. That subtle difference is what makes Guzzlord so interesting, the tragedy of a creature driven by instinct rather than conscious choice. Even its role in Pokémon Masters EX emphasizes its insatiable nature, with dialogue and animations centered on feeding and destructive power. But the game also highlights its loyalty once bonded to a trainer, suggesting that, if given structure and guidance, Guzzlord can become surprisingly cooperative. Its nature may be uncontrollable in the wild, but under careful supervision, it can channel its overwhelming force constructively. In the world of Pokémon merchandising, Guzzlord has surprisingly adorable plush versions, despite being one of the most monstrous designs ever created. Fans often joke about the contrast, a creature known for devouring worlds reduced to a soft, huggable shape. But even this reflects Guzzlord's appeal. Its design is so exaggerated that it crosses from terrifying into oddly endearing. Ultimately, Guzzlord remains one of the most unforgettable Ultra Beasts because it represents a side of the Pokemon universe rarely explored. The concept of unstoppable natural force condensed into a single being. It is a creature shaped by hunger, defined by destruction, and yet not evil merely a product of its environment. Whether seen as nightmare material or strangely lovable, Guzzlord stands out as a testament to the weirdness and creativity of the Ultra Beast roster. Its lore, its design, and its environmental storytelling create one of the most haunting and fascinating Pokemon ever introduced. Xurkitree is one of the most visually striking Ultra Beasts, immediately recognizable by its tangled, wire-like body and the towering, tree-shaped silhouette that earned it the nickname Ub3 Lighting. Unlike many other creatures from Ultra Space, whose forms appear organic, Xurkitree looks almost entirely artificial, as if built from electrical cables twisted together by a force that didn't fully understand how organic life is supposed to function. And yet, despite its mechanical appearance, Xurkitree is undeniably alive, a being that both generates and consumes electrical energy on a scale that challenges the limits of what most trainers can comprehend. It stands at an immense height, towering above humans and most Pokemon, and moves with a disjointed, twitching rhythm that feels fundamentally unnatural. Researchers believe Xurkitree's long, cord-like limbs allow it to anchor into the ground like roots, digging deep to siphon electricity from the environment. Once connected, its entire body begins to pulse with power, each surge traveling up and down its wires in a flickering cascade. This steady beat of light resembles a living electrical current, making observers feel as though they're witnessing a storm trapped inside a creature's form. When energized, Xurkitree is capable of unleashing spectacular bursts of electricity, bright enough to illuminate entire valleys for seconds at a time. One of the earliest recorded incidents involving Xurkitree in Alola described multiple power plants simultaneously shutting down after the Ultra Beast appeared. It wasn't hostile, it was hungry. Xurkitree fed on the grid, absorbing so much power that transformers blew open and streetlights across the region flickered uncontrollably. Witnesses reported seeing its arms raised toward the sky afterward, releasing explosive sparks upward as if firing off energy it could not contain. That display alone confirmed that Xurkitree stores far more power than it strictly needs to survive, almost as if its biology is designed around the concept of infinite excess. Unlike many Ultra Beasts who move with animalistic intent, Xurkitree behaves with strange, almost ritualistic patterns. After anchoring itself, it sways gently from side to side, wires rattling in a low, metallic hum. Some scientists believe this motion helps it regulate its charge or stabilize its body while absorbing power. Others think the movement is a form of communication, an electrical language expressed through light pulses, the same way Morse code uses sound. Whatever the reason, its rhythmic motions only deepen its aura of mystery, a creature that appears to meditate while tapping into the raw power of the world. There are even reports suggesting Xurkitree sometimes reaches its wire-like arms toward the sun, as though drawing electricity from solar radiation. While this hasn't been conclusively proven, the theory isn't impossible. In ultra space, the rules of biology don't align neatly with those of our world. Creatures like Xurkitree may have evolved to draw upon multiple energy sources simultaneously, making them extraordinarily adaptable and efficient. If proven, this would mean Xurkitree can survive in nearly any environment, from desert plains to stormy coastlines, as long as energy exists to be taken. One of the most unsettling traits of Xurkitree is how little sound it makes. Despite its massive size, its movements are almost completely silent except for faint crackles of static. That quietness makes its occasional electrical discharges even more dramatic. The silence breaks suddenly into a deafening snap, followed by a streak of blinding light. Trainers who have confronted Xurkitree describe the buildup to these attacks as far more unnerving than the attack itself. Its body begins to glow brighter, the wires tightening as if storing tension, until the air around it vibrates with static. When the light finally erupts, the shockwave leaves the ground scorched and the air shimmering from the leftover heat. Xurkitree's biology seems to lack a traditional nervous system or cardiovascular structure. Instead, its entire body functions as a conduit for electrical impulses, allowing signals to travel instantly across its frame. This makes its reflexes incredibly fast, even though its general posture appears slow and stiff. When threatened, Xurkitree can snap into motion with alarming speed, twisting its limbs with whip-like force or releasing a sudden burst of electricity that disables opponents before they can react. The unpredictability of these bursts makes battling Xurkitree extremely dangerous. Even experienced trainers must keep their distance and rely on defensive strategies rather than direct confrontation. Despite its power, Xurkitree doesn't appear naturally aggressive. Most incidents involving it stem from accidental disruption rather than intent to cause harm. It simply exists in pursuit of energy, reacting instinctively when something interferes. This has led researchers to view Xurkitree as a kind of living power plant, driven by biological needs rather than malice. Some even speculate that in ultraspace, Xurkitree may play a stabilizing role in its environment, much like how trees regulate ecosystems in the Pokémon world. Its ability to absorb and redistribute energy could help maintain the atmospheric or electrical balance of whatever world it originates from. Sightings of Xurkitree in ultraspace reveal forests of crystalline structures resembling giant electrical pylons. These formations react to Xurkitree's presence, glowing brighter when it moves through them. Whether these features are natural or part of Xurkitree's environment remains unknown, but the synchronization of light between creature and landscape suggests a deep connection between the Ultra Beast and its home dimension. Perhaps Xurkitree is one of many organisms evolved to interact with that strange electrical terrain, forming a complex energy-based ecosystem that has no parallel in the Pokémon world. One of the most fascinating displays of Xurkitree's behavior was observed after a single Ultra Wormhole sighting during the Alola incident. Multiple eyewitnesses saw Xurkitree plant itself deeply into a rocky cliffside as though rooting itself. Once secure, it began to pulse in steady, controlled intervals. This pulse grew faster and brighter over several minutes until it released an enormous surge that shot into the sky like lightning, branching across the clouds in a massive display of electrical power. After the discharge, Xurkitree remained motionless for a long time, as though exhausted. This observation has fueled theories that Xurkitree regulates its internal energy through massive releases, not unlike how volcanic Pokémon periodically release built-up pressure to stay healthy. What makes Xurkitree even more mysterious is its possible intelligence. Though not overtly expressive, patterns in its lights and movements suggest cognitive complexity. When encountered by multiple trainers at once, some observed Xurkitree adjusting its behavior in response to their positioning, almost strategically. In one case, Xurkitree seemed to intentionally frighten a group by releasing a controlled burst of static that illuminated the area without causing harm, suggesting it recognized the difference between warning and attack. Whether this indicates higher reasoning or simply instinctual pattern recognition remains an open question. The Ultra Beast also demonstrates curiosity toward technology. In several encounters, Circuitry moved toward electrical equipment, tapping its cables against machinery as if exploring it. Some have joked that circuitry is drawn to electronics like a moth to flame, but others believe it senses currents within devices and investigates them the same way a Pokémon might sniff unfamiliar food. This behavior has caused significant damage during Ultra Beast incursions, but it also provides insights into circuitry's motivations. It isn't seeking destruction, only understanding and energy. Circuitry's role in the Pokémon world has grown far beyond its initial appearance. Trainers fascinated by electric-type Pokémon admire it as one of the most powerful electricity-based beings ever discovered, rivaling even legendary Pokémon in raw output. Its signature aura of crackling light has become iconic, inspiring artwork that depicts it as a cosmic tree rooted between dimensions. Fans often highlight the contrast between its artificial appearance and its natural behavior, a reminder that life beyond our world may take forms far stranger and more beautiful than we imagine. Its Pokédex entries reflect this same awe. Many researchers emphasize that circuitry might not be built of typical organic material at all. Instead, its wires may be a unique biological substance adapted to channel electricity flawlessly. If true, circuitry represents a form of evolution unimaginable in the Pokémon world, a creature shaped not by water, earth, or sunlight, but by pure energy. It is evolution in its most alien and electrifying form. Even with extensive study, circuitry remains one of the least understood Ultra Beasts. Its physiology defies most scientific principles, its motivations are murky, and its connection to ultraspace is deeper than any researcher has fully explored. Yet that mystery is exactly what draws people to it. In a region of strange beings defined by impossible biology, circuitry stands out as a living storm, unpredictable, dazzling, and endlessly fascinating. Though dangerous when startled, circuitry is not inherently hostile. It is a creature shaped by an environment utterly different from our own, acting on needs and instincts that don't align neatly with the Pokémon world's biology. To understand it fully, one must accept that its form and behavior reflect a dimension where energy reigns supreme, where lightning may function as water does here, and where beings like circuitry evolved in harmony with forces far beyond our comprehension. Today, circuitry continues to be studied by dedicated researchers who hope to decode the rhythms of its glowing body. Every flicker of light, every pulse of electricity, every silent movement may hold clues to its nature. Until then, circuitry stands as one of ultraspace's most electrifying mysteries, a towering beacon of raw power whose presence feels like witnessing the heartbeat of lightning itself. Poipole is one of the most unusual Ultra Beasts, because unlike the others who often feel hostile, obscure, or overwhelming, Poipole carries a kind of warmth that almost makes it feel like a regular partner Pokémon rather than an interdimensional life form. Its playful mannerisms, curious head tilts, and almost childlike enthusiasm stand in stark contrast to the intimidating presence of beings like Guzzlord or Stakataka. And yet, beneath that innocent exterior lies a creature shaped by a world profoundly different from our own, a world where toxins are not merely defenses, but the foundation of an entire civilization's growth and development. Understanding Poipole means understanding that every cheerful chirp hides a biology and culture formed under extreme conditions that would be lethal to most Pokémon. In its home dimension, Ultra Megalopolis Poipole serves as the species most commonly chosen by members of the Ultra Recon Squad, suggesting it is domesticated or at least selectively raised for companionship. This detail sets Poipole apart from nearly every other Ultra Beast. Where creatures like Nihilego or Exurkatry behave more like unpredictable natural disasters, Poipole is capable of forming emotional bonds, recognizing faces, and learning through repetition and positive reinforcement. Researchers in Alola noted that Poipole seems especially drawn to laughter and bright colors, tilting its head toward anything vibrant, as if studying the meaning behind human expressions. This curiosity aligns with reports that Poipole is one of the most intelligent ultra beasts relative to its size, capable of analyzing unfamiliar objects with surprising precision. Its signature ability to produce and weaponize liquid toxins is both fascinating and alarming. Poipole's venom sac is unusually large for its body size, extending deep into its torso and storing a cocktail of corrosive and paralytic compounds. The venom varies depending on Poipole's mood, a trait rarely seen in other Pokémon. When calm, the toxins tend to be thicker and slower moving, used for creating harmless splashes that Poipole expresses joy with, almost like a child flicking paint around. When threatened, the venom becomes more acidic, capable of melting through natural stone. The fact that Poipole can modulate the mixture so precisely indicates a biological chemistry significantly more sophisticated than that of most Pokémon. One of Poipole's most recognizable traits is its ability to fire venom blasts from the tip of its head. This action resembles a projectile attack, but in its home world, the behavior is used far more frequently for communication and play. Ultra Recon Squad reports mention entire groups of Poipole participating in synchronized spray patterns, creating arcs of glowing poison through the air in what looks like a ritualistic performance. It's a reminder that while humans see venom as a danger, to Poipole it is simply part of daily life, an expression of emotion, identity, and social connection. Only when cornered does Poipole use this ability aggressively, and even then, it hesitates longer than ultra ultra beasts. In Alola, the bond between Poipole and the player character is one of the most tender relationships in the series. Unlike other gifts provided for battle or utility, Poipole joins out of trust from the Ultra Recon Squad, recognizing your character's kindness and potential. Throughout the adventure, Poipole's animations show subtle cues of affection, leaning forward as if asking to be held, bouncing with excitement, and rotating its head in playful half circles. These motions underscore a remarkable truth: Poipole feels safe around humans. That comfort suggests its species experiences social bonding similarly to Pokémon, fostering attachment rather than simple coexistence. Its evolution into Naganadel reveals an important biological theme. Poipole is essentially a larval form. Many of its playful behaviors resemble those of a young creature still exploring the world, not yet burdened with the responsibilities or instincts of its mature state. In nature, larval forms often behave differently from their evolutions, prioritizing learning and growth rather than territory or dominance. Poipole follows this pattern perfectly. Only when it learns the move, Dragon Pulse, a remarkable requirement, considering the shift from toxin-based abilities to draconic energy, does evolution occur. This condition implies that Poipole must reach a certain cognitive or emotional threshold before transforming, a rarity among ultra beasts. The link between toxins and light in Poipole's physiology suggests that its home dimension may lack natural sunlight, forcing its species to develop bioluminescence as a means of survival and communication. This aligns with Ultra Megalopolis being shrouded in darkness due to Necrozma's tragedy. Poipole's glowing eyes, luminous markings, and shimmering venom may have originally evolved as a response to this lack of light, enabling the species to navigate and interact in a world without a sun. In Alola's brightly lit environment, Poipole appears more energetic, possibly stimulated by the abundance of visual information it cannot experience in its native world. Poipole also displays remarkable adaptability to human routines. When left at Pokémon Refresh or Pokémon Camp, it mimics behaviors of other Pokémon rather than defaulting to Ultra Beast instincts. It watches how Pikachu plays with toys, then tries to replicate the movements. It studies how a Mudkip enjoys food, then tilts its head the same way when eating. This mimicry is not mockery, but an attempt to blend into its new environment. For a species from another dimension, the speed at which Poipole forms cross-species social bonds is extraordinary and provides insight into how Ultra Beasts might adapt if introduced to Pokémon ecosystems more frequently. In competitive battles, Poipole is limited in raw stats compared to other Ultra Beasts, but its moveset allows for versatile strategies, especially in formats that reward status spreading and chip pressure. Its ability to poison nearly any foe, combined with its resilience to certain special attacks, makes it a deceptively disruptive opponent. However, its greatest role remains symbolic rather than strategic. Poipole represents the idea that Ultra Beasts are not inherently dangerous, but misunderstood. Where creatures like Guzzlord inspire fear, Poipole inspires empathy. Its design also reflects that emotional theme. With its rounded features, oversized eyes, and smooth, segmented armor, Poipole resembles a futuristic interpretation of a baby dragon or alien insect. The color palette purple, accented with lighter violet tones, evokes mystery without hostility. The top of its head, shaped almost like a crown or elongated stinger, remains one of the most visually distinctive traits among Ultra Beasts. This combination of alien and approachable design elements makes Poipole one of the most beloved creatures introduced in Generation 7. Poipole's debut in the anime cemented its reputation as a sweetheart. Ash's Poipole exhibits expressive eyes, joyful chirps, and boundless curiosity, often sketching pictures with its venom in patterns resembling children's drawings. These scenes aren't just cute, they provide scientific insight into Poipole's sensory world. The species perceives venom differently from how humans do, experiencing it as a manipulable, expressive medium. What humans call toxic, Poipole sees as artistic. This duality highlights how limited human understanding can be when approaching creatures from other dimensions. When Ash's Poipole ultimately chooses to return to its home world, the moment is bittersweet. It leaves not because it feels unhappy, but because it has matured. Its decision reflects what Poipole's evolution represents at a narrative level. Moving toward purpose, Poipole knows its place is in Ultra Megalopolis, helping its kind rebuild their darkened world alongside the Ultra Recon Squad. That emotional intelligence, shown through an act of selflessness, reinforces why Poipole remains one of the most relatable Ultra Beasts. Its role in Ultra Megalopolis is both practical and cultural. Poipole populations often gather around critical structures of the city, providing light and protection through their venom-based illumination. Some theories suggest that Poipole was originally created or genetically altered by the megalopolitans to serve as companions capable of functioning in an environment poisoned by Necrozma's energy siphoning. If true, Poipole's gentle nature may be the result of intentional breeding over many generations, a striking difference compared to the feral aggression of most other Ultra Beasts. In terms of raw lore significance, Poipole bridges the gap between worlds. It is the Ultra Beast most likely to form friendships, most comfortable with mimicry, and most capable of emotional reasoning, while others represent chaotic aspects of nature or dimensional collapse. Poipole represents hope, the possibility of coexistence between humans, Pokémon, and beings from realms beyond our own. It stands as proof that even in a universe filled with terrifying unknowns, some of those unknowns may approach with curiosity rather than malice. And perhaps that is Poipole's greatest legacy, the reminder that not every strange creature should be met with fear. Sometimes, the smallest, most unassuming visitor from another world brings the gentlest light as Poipole hums softly, eyes glowing with friendly warmth. It becomes clear that even among ultra beasts, kindness can thrive. Its presence transforms danger into wonder, caution into affection, and darkness into a muted glow that feels almost comforting. In a cosmos full of mysteries, Poipole stands as one of the few that encourages us to reach out rather than step back. Blacephalon is one of the most unusual and theatrical ultra beasts ever discovered, a creature that seems to blend illusion, performance, and danger into a single entity. It does not simply appear in the world, it arrives as though stepping onto a stage that only it can see. Trainers and researchers alike have long noted how Blacephalon behaves less like a wild Pokémon and more like a performer seeking an audience, moving with exaggerated grace, posing dramatically between each step, and staring with a silent intensity that feels somewhere between curious and unsettling. Everything about it seems intentional, the way it tilts its head, the way its lights shimmer in unpredictable rhythms, and the way it pauses before every action as if waiting for applause. And yet, beneath all that theatrical flair lies a creature with devastating firepower and borderline unpredictable behavior, making it both mesmerizing and dangerous. When Blacephalon first appeared through an Ultra wormhole during the events surrounding the Ultra Recon Squad, it immediately attracted attention due to its bizarre design. At a glance, Blacephalon looks almost like a multicolored clown, with a body made of thin segments and long limbs that resemble balloons twisted into the shape of a performer. But that whimsical appearance conceals a biology unlike any Pokémon in the known world. Its head, or what functions as one, is detachable and made up of organic, firework-like energy. The explosion it produces is not gunpowder, but a burst of psychic and fire-type energy that disorients opponents like a flashbang. Some researchers believe Blacephalon uses the explosion not just offensively, but as a way to emotionally manipulate its opponents, stunning them long enough to perform a follow-up strike. This behavior makes it one of the most deceptive ultra beasts, weaponizing charm as much as raw strength. This explosion ability, known officially as Mind Blown, is one of the most powerful self-sacrificing moves in the entire franchise. Blacephalon willingly damages itself to unleash an enormous burst of heat and energy, an action that perfectly reflects its theatrical personality, prioritizing spectacle and impact over self-preservation. Unlike many Pokémon that use dangerous moves reluctantly, Blacephalon seems almost delighted when executing Mind Blown, often striking a triumphant pose afterward as though celebrating a successful performance. While some Pokémon rely on instinct or territory, Blacephalon appears to rely on something closer to artistic expression. It treats battle like an extravagant show, with itself as both the lead actor and the pyrotechnics department. Blacephalon's behavior patterns also reveal its mischievous nature. Reports from various Ultra Beast sightings describe it sneaking behind unsuspecting people or Pokémon, waving its arms in an exaggerated gesture, and then lifting its head off its body as though offering it as a gift. The moment the target expresses confusion, Blacephalon unleashes a burst of explosive energy and skips away. While these encounters are rarely fatal, thanks to Blacephalon's ability to precisely adjust the intensity of its explosions, they do leave subjects stunned and disoriented. Researchers classify this behavior as predatory mischief, a blend of instinctual hunting and dramatic flair. It doesn't attack from necessity, it attacks because that's simply what it does. The question of how Blacephalon's biology works has puzzled scientists and ultra wormhole researchers. Its body appears to be extremely lightweight, almost hollow, with a structure resembling a mixture of organic tissue and unknown ultraspace matter. This unusual build allows Blacephalon to move with dancer-like fluidity, gracefully weaving between attacks while maintaining an eerie sense of rhythm. Some believe Blacephalon's light frame allows it to conserve immense amounts of energy internally, storing it in its head until release. The detachable head itself is one of the biggest mysteries. Researchers have never been able to determine whether Blacephalon actually loses the head during explosions or simply converts it into another form of ultraspace energy. Within seconds of an explosion, Blacephalon regenerates a new head, often with a slightly different pattern of colors or shapes, suggesting that each regeneration is unique. Its fire, ghost typing reinforces just how strange Blacephalon truly is. As a ghost type, it possesses abilities that seem paranormal, disappearing suddenly, phasing through certain materials, or appearing behind targets as though teleporting. Yet its fire typing gives it the destructive capability of a natural disaster. When these two elements combine, Blacephalon becomes a creature that weaponizes spectacle and eeriness simultaneously. Even other ghost-like Pokémon appear wary of it, confused by its unpredictable movements and chaotic aura. Trainers who have attempted to study Blacephalon's ghostly properties report that standard ghost-type energy monitors behave erratically around it, as though unable to categorize the nature of its spiritual energy. Blacephalon's origin in ultraspace suggests that its theatrical behavior may be normal in its native environment. The ultra wormholes have shown glimpses of strange biomes, glowing landscapes, floating terrain, and impossible light structures. In such a surreal world, Blacephalon's fireworks-like abilities might serve as a communication method or even an artistic display. Some speculate that Blacephalon performs to compete for territory or attract others of its kind, though no researcher has ever documented more than one Blacephalon at a time. Whether this means it is solitary, rare, or simply hard to observe is unknown. The Ultra Recon Squad theorizes that Blacephalon may exist in low numbers due to the energy required to maintain its explosive biology. Despite its eerie personality, Blacephalon is not inherently malicious. It does not seek to harm for pleasure. Rather, it treats the world as a stage and everything on it as part of its performance. When faced with hostility, it does not show fear or aggression. Instead, it grows more animated, moving with intensifying flamboyance. Its body language during battle has been described as almost playful, even when using high-powered moves like Shadow Ball, Fire Blast, or Flamethrower. This dissonance, a playful demeanor paired with devastating attacks, is part of what makes Blacephalon so uniquely intimidating. It doesn't follow normal combat instincts. Instead, it behaves like a being driven by dramatic instinct. The first recorded Ultra Beast incidents involving Blacephalon occurred in Alola, where it appeared during the aftermath of Ultra Wormhole disturbances. When confronted by local trainers or police, Blacephalon did not flee. Instead, it performed, approaching with exaggerated gestures and releasing fireworks-like explosions. These displays confused onlookers long enough for Blacephalon to vanish. It was eventually categorized as UB Burst, a fitting name capturing the instant, dazzling explosion that defines its existence. Some Alolan residents even mistook it for a festival performer, unaware of its origins, until official reports confirmed it as an Ultra Beast. Compared to other Ultra Beasts, Blacephalon is among the lightest and most agile. Its ability to dance around attacks makes it an unpredictable opponent, even for experienced trainers. Its speed and special attack stats are exceptionally high, giving it the perfect combination to strike spectacularly and retreat before retaliation. Trainers who use Blacephalon competitively often lean into this glass cannon style, launching overwhelming attacks while avoiding damage at all costs. Despite its power, Blacephalon is fragile, and one well-placed hit can knock it out. This fragility only adds to its theatrical persona, a performer who puts everything on the line for a single perfect display. Blacephalon's fireworks-like physiology also influences its environment. Areas where it has performed its explosive displays often contain residual ultra energy that lingers in the air, creating brief flashes of light or distortions in electromagnetic readings. This has led researchers to believe that Blacephalon's explosions momentarily tear tiny rifts between dimensions, releasing traces of ultra-space energy into the world. While these effects fade quickly, they offer rare opportunities to study the properties of wormhole matter without requiring a full ultra-wormhole event. The contrast between Blacephalon and certain other ultra beasts is striking. While creatures like Buzzwole rely on raw physical strength and intimidation, Blacephalon uses confusion, rhythm, and spectacle. And unlike Nihiligo, which creates aggressive psychological effects, Blacephalon's abilities revolve around distraction rather than manipulation. In this way, it occupies a very specific niche: a trickster, a performer, and a literal firework all in one. These qualities make it one of the most visually distinctive Pokémon introduced in the Ultra series. In terms of lore, some fans draw parallels between Blacephalon and Old World entertainers, noting how its movements resemble mime performers or street magicians. Others compare it to festival spirits, beings that bring beauty and danger in equal measure. While not explicitly stated in any official source, these interpretations highlight the cultural impact Blacephalon has had among players. Its design invites analysis and imagination, the hallmark of a legendary level Pokémon, even if it isn't technically classified as one. What makes Blacephalon especially fascinating is its emotional ambiguity. It never shows anger, sadness, or fear. Instead, every movement seems exaggeratedly cheerful, its gestures flamboyant and expressive. But whether that cheerfulness is genuine or simply part of its biological instinct remains unclear. Some researchers believe Blacephalon lacks emotional depth entirely, mimicking expressive behavior the same way a staged performance mimics real feeling. Others believe its emotions are simply unreadable due to its alien biology. Either way, Blacephalon exists in a space between unsettling and charming, creating an aura unlike anything else in the Pokémon world. Its presence in competitive battling, anime appearances, and Ultra Beast lore ensures that Blacephalon will remain a memorable figure for years to come. It is a creature that embodies unpredictability, a dancer of flames and ghosts, drifting across worlds to put on a performance no one asked for, but no one ever forgets. A single flash, a burst of color, a vanishing silhouette, Blacephalon leaves behind nothing but echoes of the show it performed. Stakataka is one of the strangest Ultra Beasts ever discovered because it challenges the very idea of what a Pokémon actually is. Unlike living organisms with a central body or core, Stakataka is a colony, an assembly of many stone-like beings working together in absolute unity. Each individual block has a single glowing eye and displays independent thought, but when arranged into the towering wall-like structure seen in the games, they synchronize so perfectly that their movements resemble a single, deliberate entity. This synergy raises one of the deepest questions in Ultra Beast research. Where does the creature end, and where does the colony begin? Every observation only deepens the mystery. Stakataka first appeared through ultra wormholes in the Alola region, and although it behaved defensively at first contact, researchers noted something unique. Its movements were slow and methodical, almost cautious, rather than hostile. When local authorities approached it, the entire wall shifted its orientation as though every block were analyzing its surroundings. Even in stillness, each eye flickered subtly, scanning for threats. Its massive frame makes it appear imposing, yet its behavior displays more curiosity than aggression. It reacts strongly only when startled or mishandled, likely because sudden motion disrupts the delicate balance that keeps all its components moving as one. Reports from those who encountered Stakataka described an eerie sensation. The creature doesn't feel alive in a traditional sense. Touching one of the blocks reveals a surface that resembles polished stone, cool and unmoving, yet capable of shifting instantly when another block signals the need to reposition. This has led biologists to propose that Stakataka may not be a traditional biological species, but rather a form of sentient mineral colony powered by energy unique to ultraspace. The glowing eyes might be its only organic features, serving as sensory nodes that communicate through pulses of light. That system could be what binds each block together, an organic network embedded inside an inorganic shell. What fascinates researchers most is how seamlessly Stakataka transitions between being a stationary structure and a mobile one. Witnesses have described it blending perfectly into old ruins, appearing indistinguishable from weathered stone walls until it begins to move. This camouflage effect is unintentional but incredibly effective. The Pokémon's texture and coloration mimic ancient architecture so convincingly that even trained observers can mistake it for part of the environment. Some theorists suggest that Stakataka evolved this form to survive in ultraspace, where stable shelter is rare, building its own protective architecture from the collective bodies of each block. In battle, Stakataka becomes a force of overwhelming physical strength. Its defense stat is among the highest ever recorded, rivaling even legendary Pokémon known for their unbreakable bodies. When it advances, the ground trembles under its weight. Its signature move, Gyro Ball, turns its normally slow speed into devastating power, transforming its entire mass into a spinning fortress. The coordination of hundreds of tiny adjustments between blocks allows it to maintain balance even during rapid rotation. That level of mechanical precision would be impossible for a single organism, but perfect for a colony that thinks as one. Its ability Beast Boost enhances its already formidable defensive potential, allowing it to grow stronger after withstanding powerful attacks. It's not simply absorbing energy, it's believed the colony reorganizes itself, redistributing structure and density to strengthen whatever aspect of itself was most successful in the previous exchange. That would make Stakataka one of the most adaptable defensive Pokémon ever documented, capable of adjusting its own composition based on battlefield conditions. Despite its intimidating presence, Stakataka's personality is surprisingly passive. When interacting with researchers in controlled environments, it tends to remain motionless unless provoked, almost like a sentry waiting for instructions. It rarely displays overt aggression, even when surrounded by trainers or Pokémon. Its only known fear-like behavior occurs when loud noises or bright flashes surprise the colony, causing the blocks to tremble or shift as if they're communicating distress. This suggests that each block has individual instinct, and the entire structure's emotional response results from those instincts syncing together. One of the most captivating mysteries is how Stakataka chooses its size. While the specimen seen in Alola consistently formed a stacked, tower-like structure, nothing suggests that this is its only possible form. Because each block is capable of detaching and repositioning, Stakataka could theoretically adopt other shapes: walls, arches, tunnels, or even more compact forms. Some researchers believe the tower configuration simply provides the optimal balance of stability, vision, and intimidation for survival. Others believe Stakataka may adopt shapes based on its environment, mimicking the architecture around it like a chameleon imitates color. In the Ultra Recon Squad's reports, Stakataka is described as a collection of lives acting with a single purpose. That description echoes real-world eusocial species, ants, bees, and termites, where the colony as a whole is considered the organism rather than any singular member. If Stakataka functions similarly, then each block is a specialized cell, performing a role within a larger superstructure. The glowing eyes might serve as communication nodes, constantly transmitting information across the colony. This would explain how the structure shifts so fluidly without breaking apart. Another intriguing detail is how Stakataka interacts with gravity. Despite its weight, it moves with surprising coordination. Researchers believe that each block may have its own gravitational anchor or energy field, allowing the entire structure to distribute mass evenly across its base. Without this mechanism, the tower would topple under its own weight. Some even theorize that Stakataka may partially manipulate gravity to stabilize itself, which would align with its origins in ultra space, where natural laws differ from those in the Pokémon world. While Stakataka's origins remain unknown, its behavior provides clues about its purpose. Some believe it evolved as a mobile fortress, protecting something deep within ultra space. Others think it might be a migrating colony that gathers into defensive shapes when threatened. The idea that Stakataka could serve as architecture for other Ultra Beasts' temporary shelters or guard structures has gained traction, especially since its appearance resembles ruins found in multiple Ultra Space environments. The battle between Stakataka and aggressive Ultra Beasts like Buzzwole offers insight into its role in that world. Buzzwole favors displays of dominance and physical strength, while Stakataka responds by fortifying itself rather than attacking. The dynamic suggests Stakataka serves as a passive deterrent, a living wall that doesn't actively seek conflict but can withstand extraordinary levels of force. This complements the ecosystem of ultraspace, where survival depends on adapting to extreme conditions. One of the most surprising facts about Stakataka is how quickly it responds to structural damage. When one block is removed or incapacitated, the surrounding blocks immediately shift to fill the gap. If a trainer captures a single block, something attempted in lab conditions, the remaining structure visibly weakens but doesn't collapse. Instead, it reorganizes to maintain balance, implying a distributed intelligence capable of rapid problem solving. Whether Stakataka feels emotions remains a matter of debate. Trainers who have raised one describe it as quiet, observant, and strangely protective. It often positions itself between its trainer and potential threats, acting like a shield rather than a partner. Although made of stone, its loyalty seems to come from the colony recognizing the trainer as part of its structure. In a way, the trainer becomes the missing block that completes the formation, and perhaps that's what makes Stakataka one of the most thought-provoking Ultra Beasts. It isn't a creature that moves through the world with instinct alone. It is a living system, a structure that breathes, learns, and adapts, a wall that can walk, a fortress that can think, a collection of small lives fused into something greater, carrying the mysteries of ultra space within each silent, watchful eye. Naganadel exists as one of the most fascinating evolutionary forms in the entire Ultra Beast classification, acting as the fully evolved state of Poipole and representing a rare case where an Ultra Beast displays traditional evolutionary behavior similar to standard Pokémon. This alone makes Naganadel a point of interest within both scientific circles in the Pokémon world and competitive battling communities. Unlike many Ultra Beasts that arrive in the Pokémon world fully developed and alien in behavior, Naganadel reflects growth, mentorship, and transformation, a creature whose identity is shaped by experience. When Poipole evolves, the shift isn't just physical. It is the emergence of a creature capable of enormous power, immense speed, and surprising emotional intelligence. Its evolution marks the most dramatic metamorphosis seen among the extra-dimensional species, changing from a curious, playful entity to one with both elegance and destructive potential. Naganadel's appearance is unmistakable, with its long, needle-like stinger, sharp wings, and a glowing, liquid-like substance stored within its abdomen. This substance is incredibly volatile, allowing Naganadel to fire corrosive poison shots with precision and force. Its poison, dragon typing, makes it unique among Ultra Beasts, and one of only a very small number of Pokémon to combine those two traits. The design evokes a fusion of insect-like mobility and draconic intimidation, moving quickly and striking with terrifying decisiveness. Its wings allow it to maintain excellent mid-air control, giving it the ability to hover in place or dart unpredictably, which is essential in its native habitat, Ultra Megalopolis, where survival depends on mobility and awareness. In its own world, Naganadel plays a role that is surprisingly reminiscent of a guardian. After evolving, many Naganadel take on more serious temperaments, watching over younger Poipole and guiding them through their environments. This behavior indicates a level of hierarchical structure within their species, one not typically seen in Ultra Beasts, who are often solitary or operate on instinct rather than social organization. In the anime, this nurturing personality is shown through Naganadel's strong connection with Ash's Poipole, which ultimately evolves and chooses to remain behind in its home world to protect its dimension. That narrative gave fans a rare look at the emotional capacity of Ultra Beasts, showing that even extra-dimensional beings can form bonds rooted in loyalty and affection. Naganadel's most iconic feature outside of its poison capabilities is its speed. Upon gaining its sleek, aerodynamic body, it becomes incredibly agile, capable of weaving through dense terrain and navigating vertically with almost no slowdown. This speed makes it a dangerous opponent, able to reposition in battle and strike from angles opponents never expect. Its moveset reflects this versatility, from airborne assaults like Dragon Pulse to long-range toxic blasts that allow it to control the field. Naganadel's tendency to retreat and attack from new angles mirrors predatory behavior seen in many flying Pokémon, but enhanced to near-perfect precision by its Ultra Beast physiology. Perhaps the most notable aspect of Naganadel's competitive legacy is the ability Beast Boost, a signature trait shared among Ultra Beasts. For Naganadel, this ability can snowball rapidly, often boosting its special attack with every knockout and turning it into a devastating sweeper. In competitive battles, a properly supported Naganadel can become nearly unstoppable once it gains momentum. This led to it being banned from certain formats due to the overwhelming pressure it could place on opponents. The combination of a high offensive stat, powerful typing, great speed, and the stacking benefits of Beast Boost created a scenario where a single strike could begin a cascading chain of advantages, making it one of the most feared Ultra Beasts in battling history. Another intriguing trait is Naganadel's ability to synthesize and emit luminescent toxins. The glowing liquid within its abdomen functions not only as ammunition, but as communication. Subtle flickers of light signal warnings or social cues to other members of its species. These signals are particularly important in Ultra Megalopolis, where darkness is common and Naganadel's glowing inner structures act as beacons. The glow is often compared to neon signage, giving Naganadel a uniquely futuristic appearance that differentiates it from other Pokémon. Scientists studying Ultra Beast biology believe its glow may also serve as a method of thermoregulation, helping it stabilize energy output after rapid flight or intense combat. Its wings, though thin and almost blade-like, are incredibly durable. Composed of flexible, segmented structures, they can fold at multiple angles, allowing Naganadel to adjust its center of gravity instantly. This is crucial for performing rapid directional shifts mid-flight. Trainers who have battled alongside Naganadel often remark that it feels less like controlling a Pokémon and more like collaborating with an intelligent aircraft, one capable of understanding terrain, wind currents, and combat patterns on its own. Its air-based combat style makes it one of the most dynamic Ultra Beasts to study, as it adapts instinctively to battle flow rather than relying solely on commands. Its poison-based abilities extend far beyond simple attacks. Naganadel's toxins are uniquely adaptable. Depending on environmental conditions or emotional state, its venom can vary in viscosity and intensity. Some researchers have observed that the venom becomes thinner when used as a warning shot, but thickens when fired at maximum intensity, allowing it to cling to surfaces or continue burning through defenses. This dynamic poison has fascinated Pokémon researchers, as it suggests a biochemical system far more advanced than anything found in Pokémon native to the main world. The venom also glows faintly, creating trails in the air when fired rapidly, a phenomenon that has been described as both terrifying and mesmerizing. The dragon typing of Naganadel adds another fascinating layer. Most dragon-type Pokémon are associated with ancient myths, power, and tradition. Naganadel, however, is a futuristic dragon, one shaped not by legends, but by evolution in a world beyond human comprehension. Its Dragon Pulse, a move that channels swirling energy into a single beam, is one of its signature techniques, requiring tremendous internal stability. This dual nature, a dragon from another dimension, adds a sense of mystery and complexity that no other Ultra Beast shares. It bridges the primal symbolism of dragons with the alien strangeness of Ultra Space. While many Ultra Beasts are feared for their destructive capabilities, Naganadel often generates admiration instead. Its sleek form, neon glow, and graceful flight pattern give it a sense of elegance rarely attributed to extra-dimensional beings. In fan communities, Naganadel is often described as cyber-draconic, a term that captures both its technological aesthetic and powerful aura. It has become one of the most popular Ultra Beasts because of this unique combination of beauty and strength. In competitive and casual circles alike, it is remembered for its role in the anime, its incredible battling ability, and the emotional depth it displayed despite its alien origins. The relationship between Poipole and Naganadel is particularly touching due to the unusual way evolution is triggered. In the games, Poipole only evolves when it learns Dragon Pulse, symbolizing the emotional and developmental maturity required for its transformation. This evolution mirrors themes of mentorship and growth, the idea that once Poipole masters a new expression of power, it becomes ready to take on the responsibilities and challenges faced by Naganadel. This adds a rare narrative layer to an Ultra Beast's evolution, tying emotional connection to physiological change. When observing Naganadel in its natural habitat, researchers have noted its tendency to perch on high structures, monitoring its environment with serene focus. It rarely sleeps, instead entering rest cycles, where its body dims but remains alert. These cycles may relate to the dangers of ultra-megalopolis, where predators and environmental hazards demand constant readiness. Even while resting, Naganadel's wings remain slightly unfurled, ready to spring into action at the slightest disturbance. The sounds Naganadel makes are unlike typical Pokémon cries. They echo and reverberate unnaturally, as if heard from multiple directions at once. Some scientists theorize that its cry causes dimensional distortion, a natural consequence of its physiology being adapted to ultraspace rather than the conventional world. This ability, while not offensive, makes Naganadel even more otherworldly, solidifying its identity as a creature shaped by the unique laws of its home dimension. Despite its fearsome abilities, Naganadel displays surprising gentleness toward those it trusts. Ash's Naganadel, in particular, showed immense loyalty and emotional intelligence, demonstrating the ability to understand human motivations and desires. This portrayal helped redefine the public perception of Ultra Beasts, showing that they were not inherently dangerous, simply misunderstood beings trying to survive in worlds unlike their own. Whatever dimension Naganadel inhabits, it remains one of the most visually striking Pokémon ever introduced. Its silhouette alone radiates power and elegance, a sleek, arrow-shaped body cutting through the sky with precision. The neon glow of its stinger and abdomen create an unforgettable contrast against dark environments, making it appear almost bioluminescent. In stillness, it looks imposing. In motion, it becomes art. As an ultra beast that embodies both evolution and emotion, Naganadel stands apart from every other creature of its kind. It represents growth, adaptability, and connection, proof that even beings from beyond the known world can form bonds that transcend dimensions. And in quiet moments, as it hovers gracefully above its home or stands vigilant against the unknown, Naganadel reminds us that every creature, no matter how alien, has a place to belong. Celesteela is one of the most unusual beings ever classified as an ultra beast, a creature that looks less like something meant to battle and more like an artifact left behind by a forgotten civilization. Its appearance evokes the elegance of a celestial object and the weight of ancient machinery, combining organic and metallic features into a single drifting titan. The first impression most trainers have is that it resembles a bamboo shoot crossed with a starship, but the more time one spends observing its form, the more details emerge. The lines carved into its body like circuitry, the smooth plates that mimic armor, and the long, tapered limbs that behave both like roots and thrusters. Celesteela does not walk so much as it ascends, and witnessing that slow lift from the ground is enough to make even experienced trainers forget to breathe. Among all the Ultra Beasts, Celesteela holds the distinction of being one of the heaviest creatures ever recorded, rivaling enormous Pokémon like Groudon and Cosmoem. Its immense size contradicts its remarkable grace. When at rest, Celesteela stands perfectly still, as though anchored to the ground. But when it prepares for flight, the transformation is almost ceremonial. The limbs fold outward, the glow begins in the gaps of its plating, and the pressure around it changes subtly as heat gathers beneath its body. Many who have witnessed this say the feeling is like watching a rocket ignite. This is no coincidence. Celesteela's launch resembles the controlled, calculated rise of a spacecraft returning to the stars. Even in the Pokémon world, there are few sights as quietly awe-inspiring. Some scientists believe Celesteela may be partially biological and partially technological, a unique fusion that defies categorization. The metallic sheen of its body acts like armor, yet samples taken from fallen fragments reveal structures similar to plant fibers, suggesting some connection to organic growth. That dual nature is the heart of its mystery. Is Celesteela a living creature that evolves like any other Pokémon? Or is it something engineered, a natural being altered by the environment of ultraspace until it became indistinguishable from a machine? The answer so far, remains unknown, though many experts lean toward the idea of natural evolution shaped by a world drastically different from our own. In Alola, sightings of Celesteela created both fear and fascination among local residents. The people of the Bamboo Hill region of Ula Ula Island interpreted the creature as a myth brought to life, a metal bamboo stalk rising into the heavens. Its shape and coloration make it blend remarkably well into these forests, and its calm demeanor meant it often stood motionless for hours before moving again. Elderly residents described it as a silent guardian, while others saw it as an omen tied to natural cycles. Whatever cultural interpretations arose, they all shared the same core idea. Celesteela is ancient and powerful, something far larger and more enigmatic than the human world. The fire Celesteela produces during liftoff has drawn particular interest from researchers. Unlike conventional flames, its propulsion ignites in a controlled burst bright enough to light an entire clearing. The blast of heat and pressure can scorch trees, create shockwaves, and tear into the ground with ease. Yet Celesteela rarely uses this force for aggression. It's simply what happens when a being of its magnitude takes flight. In ultraspace, where gravity, atmosphere, and energy behave differently, this launch may not produce such violent effects. In Alola's environment, however, the sheer power of its propulsion awakens memories of human rocket launches, a reminder that Celesteela may be closer to interstellar nature than any other Pokémon. Despite the destruction Celesteela's takeoff can cause, it is not considered hostile. Its temperament is generally serene, bordering on indifferent. It reacts only when threatened, and even then, its movements are minimal, raising an arm, releasing bursts of energy, or hovering just out of reach. Trainers who formed bonds with Celesteela describe it as contemplative. It does not respond to commands quickly, but when it acts, it does so with precision and intent. Some say Celesteela seems to think in long, measured spans of time rather than immediate impulses. That slow, deliberate nature makes communicating with it feel almost spiritual. Celesteela's presence in the Ultra Warp Ride minigame in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon further supports the idea that it is a traveler between dimensions. In gameplay, encountering Celesteela requires moving through the right type of wormhole, implying that the creature drifts across space naturally. It is not something bound to any one location. Instead, Celesteela may journey eternally, pausing only when it finds a landscape that resembles its home biome. If Ultra Megalopolis or other ultra space environments contain forests of metallic growth and energy-rich air, Celesteela's bamboo-like shape makes perfect sense, a product of natural selection in a world unlike our own. In battles, Celesteela is famously resilient. Its monstrous defensive stats and expansive move pool make it adaptable to almost any role: tank, attacker, or slow passive wall. Moves like Leech Seed, Heavy Slam, and Flamethrower give it unique versatility. Its size is so immense that Heavy Slam often reaches maximum damage against smaller opponents, creating an ironic contrast between its gentle demeanor and devastating weight. Celesteela doesn't rely on speed. Its power comes from inevitability. Opponents eventually succumb to its endurance, its recovery, or its relentless pressure. In competitive formats, it became a staple, earning a reputation as one of the strongest Ultra Beasts in strategic play. Trainers often mention that Celesteela feels almost ceremonial in battle. It never rushes. Instead, it moves with calm authority, as though participating in a ritual rather than a fight. Watching Celesteela lift its arms to unleash beams of energy feels like watching an ancient entity awaken a fraction of its true strength. Even when it defeats an opponent, Its movements remain controlled, untainted by aggression or excitement. That emotional stillness is part of what makes it so distinctive. Celesteela feels like a creature from an older universe, one where life does not express itself through emotion, but through enduring structure and slow, powerful movement. The Pokédex often describes Celesteela as one of the largest ultra beasts ever recorded, and this magnitude seems to affect the atmosphere around it. Trainers report that standing next to Celesteela produces a subtle pressure, as though the air shifts to accommodate its mass. Some describe feeling a slight hum beneath their feet when Celesteela prepares for flight, similar to the vibration of a launching spacecraft. Others swear that the temperature drops slightly when Celesteela is still, rising again once its arms begin to glow. Whether these sensations are physically measurable or simply the emotional impact of standing beside something so alien, they add to Celesteela's mystique. Among Ultra Beast enthusiasts, Celesteela is often considered the most elegant of the group. While creatures like Guzzlord or Buzzwole embody chaotic extremes, Celesteela represents quiet majesty. Its symmetry, posture, and slow movements create an impression of ancient technology, not modern machinery, but something ceremonial, sacred, and intentional. Artists frequently depict it floating between stars, surrounded by drifting cosmic dust, its limbs extended like the petals of a metallic flower. Others place it among bamboo forests, emphasizing the duality of nature and machine. In every interpretation, Celesteela retains an aura of grace. One theory proposes that Celesteela's design parallels the Japanese folklore of Kaguya Hime, the moon princess sent to Earth in a bamboo stalk, who eventually returns to the heavens. This parallel is striking. Celesteela resembles an enormous bamboo shoot and launches itself skyward like a rocket returning to the stars. The connection is so strong that many believe Game Freak intentionally modeled Celesteela after this tale, blending Ultra Beast science fiction with classical mythology. Whether confirmed or not, the thematic overlap deepens Celesteela's role as a being caught between worlds, one that descends to unfamiliar land but ultimately belongs elsewhere. Celesteela's calm temperament also makes it unusually approachable for an Ultra Beast. While others lash out or act unpredictably, Celesteela observes. Its observations are long and unbroken, as though it studies the world not in moments, but in entire spans of time. Trainers who have spent hours beside a resting Celesteela report that it almost seems to listen to the environment, the wind, the shifting ground, the rustling trees. Its heightened awareness may come from navigation instincts tied to ultraspace, where landmarks, gravity, and energy signatures differ greatly from those of the Pokémon world. Even after its initial appearances in Alola, Celesteela has never been fully understood. It remains a quiet enigma, a drifting colossus, a metallic wanderer, a being whose purpose seems larger than any one ecosystem. Perhaps it is part of a civilization long gone. Perhaps it is a natural species shaped by a world beyond comprehension, or perhaps it is something in between, a living being shaped by forces that defy the rules of earthly biology. Whatever the truth, Celesteela remains one of the most awe-inspiring beings to ever cross into the Pokémon world. If Celesteela has a message, it may be one of quiet endurance. It does not fight for dominance or seek destruction. It simply exists with purpose, rising and landing in cycles as ancient as the cosmos. In its presence, the world seems to slow, as though reminded that even in a universe driven by energy and motion, there is beauty in stillness. Celesteela drifts not as a conqueror, but as a traveler, a towering, elegant remnant of a distant realm whose secrets remain etched into its steel-like body. And when it lifts off once more, leaving scorched earth and rising light behind. It feels less like a departure and more like a reminder. Some beings are meant to touch the stars. Nihilego has always stood out among the Ultra Beasts because its design is so deceptively peaceful, almost elegant at first glance. Where Buzzwolf flexes with impossible strength, where Kartana slices reality, and where Guzzlord devours endlessly, Nihilego simply drifts. It floats as softly as a jellyfish suspended in warm ocean currents, its translucent body shimmering with a gentle, glass-like glow. But the stillness surrounding it hides something far more complex, the unnerving blend of fragility and danger that only an Ultra Beast could represent. Trainers who first encounter Nihilego often mistake it for harmless, yet every recorded interaction reveals that beneath that graceful exterior lies something unpredictable, invasive, and deeply alien. Known as UB-1 Symbiont, Nihilego is the Ultra Beast most connected to themes of parasitism and possession. Unlike the others who act primarily through physical force or raw energy, Nihilego operates through influence. Its tentacles release a neurotoxic fluid capable of drastically altering the behavior of those it touches, Pokémon or human. These effects range from euphoria to compulsive action, a kind of mental fog that leaves subjects susceptible to outside manipulation. This unique trait is what made Nihilego central to the Ether Foundation incident, where researchers obsessed with ultraspace became dangerously entangled with the powers they sought to control. Nihilego's toxins didn't merely incapacitate, they blurred boundaries between desire and reality, amplifying hidden impulses in ways no one could have predicted. Its biology adds even more mystery to this alien creature. Nihilego's body structure is unlike any Pokémon found in the natural world. Composed of a flexible, glass-like substance, its outer membrane refracts light in opalescent waves that shift as it drifts. Touching it feels like pressing against a soft gel layer rather than skin, a protective shell that hides its true composition. Inside that membrane floats a luminous core suspended in fluid, pulsing gently with every movement. This core appears to regulate everything from its toxins to the psychic signals it emits during encounters. Some researchers speculate that Nihilego's headpiece, which resembles a frilled hat, might be part of a sensory network that helps it navigate ultraspace's ever-shifting gravity fields. Its behavior is equally strange. Unlike ultra beasts such as Stakataka, who stay grounded with clear territorial instincts, Nihilego wanders without pattern. It drifts aimlessly, reacting not to territory or survival pressure, but to stimuli it finds intriguing, movements, light sources, or bursts of emotional activity. This unpredictability has led some Pokémon world scientists to compare it to deep-sea jellyfish. In nature, jellyfish don't chase or flee. They simply exist within currents, feeding when able and avoiding danger through passivity. Nihilego reflects that same eerie neutrality. It is not inherently malicious. It simply behaves according to its instincts, even when those instincts lead to harmful consequences. Despite its unsettling traits, Nihilego has a strange beauty to it, and that aesthetic quality has made it one of the most memorable Ultra Beasts introduced in Alola. It doesn't roar, stomp, or crash through reality. It glides. Its movements are slow and hypnotic, trailing faint particles of luminescent dust that dissolve into the air. These particles are believed to originate from the toxins within its body, released in minimal amounts as a natural byproduct of its drifting. While harmless at low concentration, larger doses, usually from direct contact, produce the infamous behavioral effects tied to Nihilego's parasitic ability. This parasitic potential plays a major role in its lore. Many in-universe researchers believe Nihilego forms symbiotic bonds, not through intent, but through chemical response. When it attaches to a host, its toxins initiate neurological changes, effectively merging their desires. Under this influence, subjects may behave recklessly, driven by amplified impulses. This ability led to troubling incidents where Nihilego's presence exposed the darker sides of human ambition. While other ultra beasts challenge trainers physically, Nihilego challenges them psychologically, a reminder that alien life might interact with human minds in ways beyond comprehension. Its origins in ultraspace further expand the mystery. The dimension Nihilego comes from is described as a vast, crystalline expanse with geometric patterns and drifting light, almost like a distorted underwater realm suspended in the air. Within that space, Nihilego is not alone. It moves among floating structures and shimmering energy formations, blending almost perfectly into its surroundings. This habitat appears perfectly suited to its physiology. The low gravity allows it to drift effortlessly, and the strange crystalline formations may provide energy or nutrients through contact. Observing Nihilego in its native environment reveals a creature completely at ease, far gentler and more fluid than when encountered in the human world. Trainers who battle Nihilego quickly learn that its fragile appearance belies incredible power. Classified as a rock poison Pokémon, a rare combination, it possesses tremendous special attack and special defense, allowing it to dish out overwhelming energy attacks while tanking hits from the special side. Moves like Power Gem, Sludge Wave, and Acid Spray turn its shimmering form into a conduit for destructive beams and waves of toxin. When triggered, Nihilego attacks with startling speed, abandoning its gentle drifting for rapid bursts of movement, reminiscent of a jellyfish propelling itself with sudden contractions. And with its Ultra Beast signature ability, Beast Boost, taking down even a single opponent can set off a chain reaction of overwhelming stat increases. Despite its offensive prowess, Nihilego's physical defense is infamously poor, making it a glass cannon in the most literal sense. A strong ground-type move can shatter it in a single blow, which creates an interesting paradox: a creature that feels invincible when attacking, but frighteningly fragile when touched. This fragility fits perfectly with its thematic design, beauty and danger, resilience and vulnerability, all existing simultaneously. In many battle strategies, trainers must treat Nihilego like delicate crystal, breathtaking when used properly, disastrous if mishandled. Nihilego's role in the Alola narrative remains one of the most emotionally complex in Pokémon history. Its interactions with the Aether Foundation, particularly Lusamine, blur the line between influence and intention. Was Nihilego deliberately exploiting human emotions, or was it merely responding to them? Did it know what it was doing, or did it simply follow instinct like a jellyfish drawn to light? The ambiguity of its motives gives its story an uncomfortable depth. It forces characters and players to consider that alien life may not fit neatly into categories of good or evil, friend or foe. Even after the events of Pokémon Sun and Moon, many questions about Nihilego remain unanswered. No one knows how many exist in ultraspace, or whether they operate socially like jellyfish blooms. No one knows whether their toxins are meant to incapacitate prey, form symbiotic bonds, or simply serve a biological function unrelated to parasitism. Some scholars believe Nihilego may be a keystone species in its native environment, a central organism whose presence keeps ecological balance intact. Others argue that its drifting, seemingly purposeless behavior makes it more akin to an alien hazard than a natural component of ultraspace. What is known, however, is that Nihiego's impact on the Pokémon world extends beyond its biology or toxicity. It introduced the franchise to a new kind of fear. Not fear of destruction, but fear of losing oneself. Many Ultra Beasts threaten the body. Nihilego threatens the mind. It represents the seductive danger of desire amplified without control, of thoughts influenced by unseen forces. That psychological element gives it an identity unlike any other Pokémon, legendary or otherwise. Still, not everything about Nihilego is frightening. In rare cases, trainers who successfully capture one report that it behaves almost childlike, curious, harmlessly drifting, and drawn to bright objects. When untouched, it appears fascinated by motion and sound, tilting its gelatinous body in subtle, adorable gestures. This behavior reinforces the idea that it is not inherently hostile, just alien. In a different world, perhaps with different instincts, it might have been seen as gentle rather than sinister. Its design remains one of Pokémon's most artistically striking. The translucent membrane, the iridescent sheen, the bobbing movement. These elements blend natural jellyfish inspiration with surreal alien elegance. It looks fragile yet immortal, peaceful yet unsettling. Its shape, resembling both a jellyfish and a child's bonnet, deliberately creates emotional tension, evoking innocence while hiding danger beneath. That duality is the heart of Nihilego's identity. Whether drifting in ultra space, appearing through an ultra wormhole, or floating calmly beside a trainer, Nihilego remains one of the franchise's most compelling creatures. It embodies everything that makes Ultra Beasts fascinating. The sense that Pokémon can be beautiful, terrifying, and unknowable all at once. And as it gently pulses with alien light, suspended between elegance and threat, Nihilego continues to be a reminder that not all mysteries are meant to be solved. Some are meant simply to drift,